The moment Emma's daughter spilled chocolate milk across the pristine white tablecloth, time seemed to stop. Every eye in the five-star restaurant turned toward their corner table, and Emma felt her carefully constructed world crumbling around her. This was supposed to be her chance at happiness, her one shot at finding love again after 3 years of struggling alone. But as she watched the dark liquid seep toward her date's expensive suit, she knew with crushing certainty that she'd just lost everything. Emma Martinez had been surviving on 3 hours of sleep and 2 jobs for longer than she cared to remember. At 28, she looked older than her years, worry lines etched around eyes that had once sparkled with dreams. Those dreams had died the night her husband walked out, leaving her 6 months pregnant with a note that said he wasn't ready for this responsibility. Since then, every day had been a battle between putting food on the table and being present for her daughter, Lily. The dating app notification had come during her lunch break at the diner where she worked her second shift. Marcus Chen, 35, CEO of Chen Industries. His profile showed a man with kind eyes and a genuine smile, standing in front of what looked like a children's hospital wing bearing his company's name. They'd been messaging for 2 weeks, and he seemed different from the other men who'd ghosted her the moment she mentioned having a child. Marcus had asked questions about Lily, seemed genuinely interested in Emma's life beyond the carefully filtered photos. When he'd suggested dinner at Lumiere, the most exclusive restaurant in the city, Emma's first instinct was to decline. She couldn't afford a babysitter for that kind of evening, and her neighbor who usually watched Lily had the flu. But Marcus had surprised her by saying something that made her heart skip, "Bring her. I'd love to meet the person who makes you smile like that in your photos." Now, standing in that gilded dining room with crystal chandeliers casting judgmental light on her Target dress and her daughter's gap-toothed panic, Emma wanted to disappear. Lily, just 3 years old with wild curls that refused to be tamed, looked up at her mother with eyes brimming with tears. "I'm sorry, Mommy," she whispered, her little voice breaking. "I didn't mean to." Emma's throat tightened as she grabbed napkins, her hands shaking. This was it. This was the moment when Marcus would realize that dating a single mother meant chaos and unpredictability and sticky fingers on expensive things. She'd seen that look before, the way men's expressions shifted from interest to calculation, measuring whether she was worth the inconvenience of her package deal. But when she finally dared to glance at Marcus, he wasn't looking at the spreading stain or the curious onlookers. He was looking at Lily, and his expression held something Emma hadn't expected: understanding. "Hey there," he said gently, kneeling beside Lily's chair so they were at eye level. "Accidents happen to everyone. Want to know a secret?" He leaned in conspiratorially, and Lily nodded, sniffling. "Last week, I spilled coffee all over my shirt right before the biggest meeting of my life. Had to give a presentation to 200 people with a giant stain right here." He pointed to his chest, making a comically large circle. A tiny smile flickered across Lily's face. "Really? Really? And you know what? The presentation went great anyway, because what matters isn't being perfect. It's being brave enough to try, even when things get messy." Emma felt something crack open inside her chest. She watched as Marcus signaled a waiter with such ease and kindness that the man seemed genuinely happy to help, efficiently clearing the table while making Lily laugh about a story involving a clumsy penguin. Within minutes, they'd been moved to a private corner booth, more comfortable anyway, Marcus insisted, with crayons and a kid's menu appearing as if by magic. "I'm so sorry," Emma managed, her voice barely steady. "I shouldn't have brought her. I know this wasn't what you signed up for." Marcus looked at her with such directness that she couldn't glance away. "Emma, she's part of you. How could I want to know you without knowing the person who matters most in your world?" He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice carried a weight of something deeper. "My mother raised me alone after my father left. I watched her work herself to exhaustion, saw her turn down dates because she couldn't find childcare, witnessed her shrink herself to fit what she thought people wanted. I promised myself that if I ever met someone like her, someone strong enough to choose their child every single day, I wouldn't make her choose between us." Emma's eyes blurred with tears she'd been holding back for 3 years. In all that time, no one had seen her struggle as anything but baggage. No one had looked at Lily and seen the miracle Emma saw, the reason she got up every morning, the light in her darkest moments, the proof that she could survive anything. "Tell me about her," Marcus said, settling back in the booth. What makes her laugh? What's her favorite bedtime story? What do her hugs feel like at the end of a hard day? And Emma talked. Really talked. She told him about Lily's obsession with dinosaurs, how she insisted on wearing her princess dress to the grocery store because T-Rexes can be fancy too, mommy. She shared how Lily had cried over a dead beetle they'd found, insisting on a full funeral with flowers from their tiny apartment balcony. She admitted the bone-deep exhaustion of working 2 jobs, the guilt that ate at her during every missed bedtime story, the fear that she wasn't enough. Lily, sensing the shift in atmosphere, climbed from her chair and into her mother's lap, sticky hands and all. She studied Marcus with the serious expression children get when making important decisions. "Do you like my mommy?" she asked with 3-year-old bluntness. Marcus smiled, and it transformed his entire face. "I think your mommy is the most remarkable person I've ever met. And I think you must be pretty special too, because she loves you so much. She cries sometimes at night," Lily announced with the brutal honesty of childhood. "When she thinks I'm sleeping. But I give her my favorite stuffy and she stops." Emma's heart shattered and reformed in the same moment. She hadn't known Lily heard those carefully muffled sobs, hadn't realized her daughter was trying to protect her the same way she protected her daughter. Marcus reached across the table, and Emma found herself taking his hand. "You don't have to carry everything alone," he said quietly. "Not anymore." The evening unfolded like a dream Emma had been afraid to dream. Marcus asked Lily to draw him a picture of her favorite dinosaur, and she created a purple T-Rex with a crown that he promised to hang in his office. They shared dessert, Lily getting more chocolate on her face than in her mouth, and when she finally fell asleep against Emma's shoulder, Marcus suggested they skip the rest of the formal dining and just talk. They moved to the restaurant's garden, Lily bundled in Emma's arms, and Marcus told his own story. His childhood in a cramped apartment, his mother's calloused hands from 2 cleaning jobs, the scholarship that changed everything. The loneliness that came with success when everyone wanted something from him except honesty. The way he'd built a fortune but struggled to build genuine connections. "I donate to charities, I fund scholarships, I try to give back," he said, staring at the stars. "But I've been missing the point. It's not about grand gestures. It's about showing up for people in the small moments. Like today. This messy, imperfect, completely wonderful today." When Marcus drove them home, Emma invited him up to her modest apartment. She'd stopped apologizing for the peeling paint and secondhand furniture. He'd seen who she really was, exhausted, struggling, but unbreakable, and he hadn't flinched. 3 months later, Marcus proposed in Lily's favorite park, with a ring for Emma and a best sister necklace for Lily, because he wanted to build a family, not break one. A year after that, they stood in a small ceremony surrounded by people who'd watched Emma survive and were now witnessing her thrive. But Emma's favorite moment wasn't the wedding or the honeymoon or moving into Marcus's beautiful home. It was the night Lily had a nightmare, and Marcus was the one who went to her, who rocked her back to sleep, who understood that loving Emma meant loving all of her, chocolate spills and all. Because humanity isn't measured in bank accounts or perfect dates. It's measured in the moments we choose connection over convenience, mess over perfection, and love over fear. It's measured in men who kneel down to comfort crying children, in women who refuse to shrink themselves, and in the understanding that the best things in life come not despite complications, but because of them.